Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the African Fighters Podcast. I am Jabril from the African Fighters, and today, guys, the Wazobia gang is back again. To my far right, or your far right, ladies and gentlemen from London, England, he's my friend and yours, President Israel Adesanya Fan Club. It is Kingdoms of the Kingdoms Podcast, Ademola Adewade. How you doing?
I'm good, my brother. How are you guys doing? Pumped for this one.
Great stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, in the southern region, he is from the southern part of Nigeria as well. And also, he currently resides in the southern part of England from London. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the businessman flexing the muscles. It is
The
Ebuka the
tycoon.
tycoon. Ladies and gentlemen, Ebuka Ogbona. Ebuka, how you doing, my brother?
I've been putting in the work, bro. I'm pumped. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yes, he is pumped. I am pumped. Everybody is pumped, but we are not as pumped as the current heavyweight champion of one championship MMA by the person of Reug Reug. We'll touch a bit about that. Not a bit. We'll basically talk a lot about it. We'll talk about the things coming out from the UFC Apex last night. A comment was made about one championship. We'll talk about a little bit of the controversy going on down there, and I think we'll touch Jon Jones a little bit, and maybe Francis Ngannou a bit. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the African Fighters Podcast, and this is where we dissect everything relating to African fighters in the space of combat sports, regardless of your discipline. As long as we see it, we'll talk about it. I am Jabril, as I said earlier, JB_Aboki, the African Fighters. Also, you find us across all social media platforms. By the way, guys, we are on Patreon. We don't really have anything going on in Patreon with regards to benefits, but if you choose to support what we do, guys, please feel free to drop in a few bucks in there. StreamYard has added a bit, not just a bit, almost 100% increase in StreamYard, what we use basically to go live here. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice. Thank you very, very much. All right, guys. On Friday, we had the One Championship event. That's One Championship 169. This event was initially billed to be done in the US. I believe it was supposed to be in Atlanta, Georgia, and one thing led to another. They moved it back to Bangkok, Thailand, where is their home base. Just as an outsider, this is not factual. I would assume the reason why that might be is probably ticket sales, because the arena they tried to get in is like one of those NBA arenas for the Atlanta Hawks. I can't remember the name of the arena at the top of my head, but as it didn't work, they went back home. This says a lot about where One Championship is now in terms of popularity in the Western world. However, they are the biggest in the Middle Asia and all of that. But even though that card was very stacked, they had the Muay Thai legend, Rotang, his name is. Sorry if I botched that name. He was on the card. And on top of that card, the main event was built for Anatoly versus one Senegalese lutte wrestler in the name of Umar Khan, Reug Reug. Reug Reug being the big name that carried that card. Unfortunately, it didn't happen in the US. Tried to be their coming home party, but it didn't happen when they went back to Thailand. Temba the answer Gorimbo just slid in here. Temba, we've been telling you, Temba,
Themba bombs. Gorimbo bombs.
Send Dwayne the Rock Johnson money our way, please. Thank
Temba
you,
is
Temba.
so consistent. I like that guy.
Yeah,
My guy, Temba. Shout out to you, bro.
Temba does a lot of charity, and we would appreciate a bit of charity here. But we're not going to beg. We're big boys. We're going to be like, yo, Temba. Thank you for tuning in, Temba, and everybody in here. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We really, really appreciate that. That like is very important. When you hit the like and YouTube algorithm feels like people like this stuff, they are going to recommend it for other people. Going back into the headline topic we're discussing today, Malyakin versus Reug Reug. If you don't know who Malyakin is, he is the only 3-division champion in the whole world when it comes to MMA. In one championship, he is their heavyweight champion. middleweight champion and light heavyweight champion. Before becoming the light heavyweight champion, actually, before becoming the middleweight champion, the guy he defeated was fighting in the UFC in his UFC debut last night. He made some controversial comments about the UFC. I mean, about one championship and why fighters shouldn't fight there. We'll touch a little bit about that. We're talking about the Raider who made his middleweight debut there. Yeah, coming back into in line with that main event we saw of one championship 169. A lot has been said with regards to the performance of Reug Reug, and there's a lot of controversy with regards to the result as well. As we know, Reug Reug won that fight by split decision, which if you watch that fight as a UFC fan, you would be confused with how the scoring works in one championship. You see a few gimmicks there that you're not familiar with. They have the yellow card and red card situation going on there. You would also find a familiar ref in Herb Dean. Herb Dean had both his yellow and red card in his pocket. He eventually gave Malyakin the yellow card in the first round. This is because heading into this fight, Malyakin has never been taken down, and Reug Reug used Senegalese loot wrestling, which essentially means brute force to take your fighter to the mat, which he did. And he attempted to slam Malyakin, and Malyakin held the ropes. Habdin gave him a warning, a very strong warning, and then gave the position back to Reug Reug. Reug Reug did the same thing again, tried to slam Malyakin on the mat, and he held the ropes again for dear life. And this is essentially where the yellow card came into play. I'm going to go to Ademola first. Demola, what were your thoughts about that main event? There's a lot of inactivity that happened in most portion of the fight, most especially in the last 3 rounds. There was a lot of inactivity going on in there. I would not judge them per se because these are heavyweights, big muscles, pumping the tiny hearts. That's how anatomy works. You get tired. The bigger you are, the more tired you get with physical activity.
Your favorites, the big sweaty meaty men.
Yes. This was a meat fest for me. And you know I like big meat. Ademola, what were your thoughts at first? What were your general thoughts about the fight?
General thoughts, Rogue Rogue, doubting him at your own peril. That's that's what I thought because I'm not gonna lie, even though he's my African brother, I did doubt him, and yeah, I would always come out, to accept that I was wrong doubting him. So that being said, right, I wished him very well, and he was a very big underdog. He Rogue Group to win was probably like 7.5. I don't know why I did not bet on it, because if I had bet £1,000, he would have given me 7,500. I should have sprinkled some salt on it. So that aside, right, I was quite happy, but being objective, I think it was a close fight. Both guys, incredible chins. Incredible chains. They were swinging bombs, right? Those bombs those guys were swinging could have dropped, the average heavyweight, in fact, even above average, elite level heavyweights would have gone down, but they were so determined. The yellow card situation, I just see like a point deduction in the regular UFC kind of fight. So I don't know why they use the ring instead of having a cage, right? But it's still equivalent to a fence grab, right? So it's not allowed by the rules. And really, let's give Rogue his flowers. He overperformed, like he outperformed all or any expectations. So being objective, it was quite a close fight, and I expected it to go to a split decision, and it did go to a split decision. And happily, Reug Reug came out on the favorable side of that split decision. Both men, wanted it badly, but Reug Reug wanted it more. We could see that, and he deserves the championship. Those are my general thoughts, actually.
Yes, Reug Reug's undoubtedly big heart going in there. He told us before this fight that he's going to finish Anatolin in the second round. And to be honest, there was in the first round that first takedown that he didn't get. I feel like if he had gotten that takedown, because what he did, he secured the back, held the waist, he raised Anatolin to the skies and showed the gods. when he was when he was going to slam him on the mat, and actually was like, "This is not a situation that I've ever been in." So obviously a reflex happened, and then he held the ropes. You know, big men barely fall, so he held the ropes, and obviously that did not happen. I feel like if Rogue Rogue had slammed him, and for any reason he probably landed on his head, that fight probably would have ended earlier than we thought, because the bigger you are, the harder you
Um,
fall. So
yeah.
if he slams him on the mat, he probably be disoriented and will probably see a bit of ground and pound, because Rogue Rogue is pretty decent with his ground and pound, most especially when he has secured waist control. But
I
Ebuka,
see red, bro.
Ebuka,
Yeah, yes,
uh,
brother.
thoughts? What were your thoughts?
I mean, well, my thoughts. First of all, why would an MMA fight be happening in a boxing ring? That's one thing that I think one needs to fix.
What are you thinking
It's
about
strange. It
that?
was strange. It was very strange seeing something like that. I haven't really seen. I mean, I've seen in BKFC they use this round ring just like the octagon, but then it's at least that's better. That's boxing, bare knuckle boxing, basically kickboxing. But yeah, that's one thing one needs to fix. The whole yellow card situation is strange. I mean, I do understand that, of course, MMA is still a new sport. So at this point, there is no unified rules among different organizations and different commissions. So that's something I think that they need to look at. But in terms of the fight, it was a good fight. I think Rogue Rogue showed us something. You know, a bit of he looked a bit. He still looks a bit raw. There's still a bit of, I think, refining to do of his skills. He's 32, and I think in this point he's still young. So I think he's still has a lot to do, a lot to learn and develop. And I think he can get much better. But of course, that wrestling base, really came out and showed for him in the fight. And I think he did quite well. He did well. I think he won. I thought he won the fight. He just held it, and that's of course the result that we saw the split decision. So yeah, well done to him, our Senegalese brother. I was happy for him. I reposted it, and yeah, I'm quite happy, to see an African heavyweight champion in another organization apart from the UFC. Yeah, it was good overall.
All right. I feel I should give a shout out to Christopher Graham from our Patreon. Shout out Christopher Graham. He sent us some questions, and most of the questions were around Rogue Rogue and his performance. There's also one question here. I think we went over it where he said, "Who would you have scored it for?" I guess this is a bit of how the difference between UFC and MMA, UFC and One Championship is. In the UFC, every round has a life of its own. They score a fight per round. In One Championship, they score the fight entirely. Essentially, even if you win rounds, but in the end of the day, your opponent looks like he has gone through some tough test, your opponent, you probably would win. So they look at like overall damage. And if you look at Anatolin was bleeding at some point, even though Rogue Rogue was open for that right hand that Anatolin was swinging, he was catching Rogue Rogue every time with that big right. And Rogue Rogue built like a Robocop. He was eating those shots. I don't understand. Well, I think I kind of do understand why Rogue Rogue stood in one corner, because most of the fight, Anatolin cornered him, and then some exchanges. These guys were just swinging for the fences. And to be honest, Anatolin was winning most of those exchanges. But when Rogue Rogue lands, there was one part that he got a knockdown. Apparently, it was not counted to be a knockdown. They said it was a slip. But you could see with the eye test that Rogue Rogue was essentially doing more damage, because Anatolian was swinging, hitting, but Rogue Rogue was like bluffing or what best poker face you would ever see. So moving on, would Rogue Rogue have won if each round was scored individually? That's from Christopher Graham. Essentially, I don't think so. How about you, Ademola?
If each round had been scored individually, I think he'll still win. Like he puts on damage. What's the criteria for scoring? Damage. is the number
Yeah,
one criteria.
yeah,
The
boy.
control time.
You arguably, you're going by UFC rules, there would have been a 10-8 there because there was
Mhm.
the yellow card situation. And to be
Yes.
honest, after that first round takedown that Habdin gave him like a strong warning, I probably
Mhm.
would not have given a strong warning. I would have given that yellow card straight away because that was a fight changing event that Anatolian survived from. Imagine like it's almost like a fence grab when you've been lifted up and then you grab a fence so you don't get to the mat. So that probably could have ended the
Yeah.
fight. But yeah. Um if it was in the UFC, I know a lot of hardcore fans will shit on this fight. But but even in the UFC, it would be a very, very close decision. I feel like that 10-8 would probably stand out. So if you give Rogue Rogue 2 rounds plus that 10-8, I can see what a split decision would be. Yeah. Uh there is a bit of controversy around one championship. All right. So last night we saw the debut of one Rene Derrida. Rene Derrida wants fighters not to sign with one championship, and this is coming from his fight against Greshald. Oh gosh, what's the name of that guy that Chimaev knocked out in the middleweight? Ranad Greshald.
Meshat, Gerald
Meshat,
Meshat.
Gerald Meshat, that guy. So it was a fight that went 3 rounds. Just at the end of the third round, he got a triangle choke. Not a triangle choke. It's one of those ones where you wrap the arms around the neck. I can't remember what the name is. So I have a transcript here coming to you by MMA Fighting, and during the press conference, the reader was asked about one championship, and this is what he had to say. Transcript by MMA Fighting. This is something I feel I have to do for other fighters. If you're thinking of signing with one championship, don't. The reader said to the UFC Vegas 100 post-fight press conference. It's that simple. You should not. There's nothing there. There's no fights. You're just wrong if you do this. If you sign there, this is a bad mistake. The former light heavyweight and middleweight champion didn't get into many details about his disdain towards one, but at least one major problem came down to activity. Following 3 fights in 2022, the reader didn't compete at all during 2023 outside of a grappling match against Tai Rutolo. He finally returned to action in early 2024, but a loss to Anatoly Malyakin marked the end of his run with one championship. It's been bad couple of years, he said. The reader said, the stress I've been put through, the stress my family been put through to even just get one fight, it hasn't been nice. It's hard for me to talk bad because I had a couple of good years at one as well. In the beginning, they treated me well. Over the past couple of years, it's been really, really bad. If there was one aspect about one championship that he missed, the reader admitted the post-fight celebrations where the glitters from fall from the ceiling to end the show was nice touch, but the sounds like only thing he's getting compared to his new home in the UFC. You know, when the fight ends in one championship, they throw some
Yeah.
golden things in the air. It's just like when you go fight in New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's a bit of a difference. Even Ryzen 2 has those glitter thing. Also,
WWE, it happened in WWE as well, doesn't it? Sometimes.
no, yes, but there is this thing called Ring of Honor in pro wrestling where the fans they hold some party thing, confetti thing.
Mm.
When a champion is done, when they announce a winner or when there's the big entrance, they throw it into the ring. It looks cool. Anyways, that's the one good thing that the reader thinks that he misses about one championship. Apart from that, he feels like he was treated like crap. And this comes in when there's a lot of things going on about one championship. The owner of I think I was talking to you about this earlier, Adimola. The owner
Yeah.
of Karate Combat did a show in Dubai. However, in one of his top fights, I think it's the co-main, there was a fighter there that was a Muay Thai fighter that fought in one championship. However, he does not have any contract with one championship, but he also owns a gym. And most of the Muay Thai fighters that fight in one championship come from his gym. Not necessarily most of them, but he's got a big Muay Thai gym. And as you know, one championship is the biggest promotion that does Muay Thai fights. Muay Thai is not a very profitable sport, you see. So what happened is just weeks before the event for Karate Combat, the owner of one championship reached out to this guy and told him, he threatened him essentially saying, if he fights for Karate Combat, he's not going to give any more of his fighters from his gym fights in one championship. Thinking that this would affect the young fighters, he had to pull out from that fight. So now he told this to the owner of Karate Combat, and the owner of Karate Combat came out with this and started talking trash about one championship and all their shortcomings, including the fact that they don't bring returns to their sponsors. They're missing sponsors left and right. They might have viewership in Asia, but there is no money. The format in one championship is crap. He shat on it. If you want to hear more, go look for interviews with that guy. Just Google the owner of Karate Combat. So, also coupled with the fact that this event, one championship 169, was supposed to happen in Atlanta, Georgia, and not reportedly, but my assumption, due to ticket sales, they moved it back to Thailand, where it's their home base essentially. So now, what are your thoughts about this revelation that you just heard? Is this something that is new to you guys, or have you guys been on top of this one championship matter? Any of you can take this?
Allegations,
I mean,
allegations. So let me quickly say something, right? I think one of my fighter friends told me that there are ongoing investigations regarding some things. So until the investigations are sorted out, right, everybody is innocent, right, in the court of law, right? So let us wait. Let us wait. So allegations remain allegations until proven, yeah, true. Ibuka, I don't know what your thoughts are.
yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Let's not forget the fight business is a very different business. It's not your normal business where you're pushing out products. You want to make sure that you develop your products properly so that the buyers can see a good product and they buy it and take it to their home and whatever. You're working with people, lots of people that are independent in nature. You're working with fighters who are not always, maybe the most highly educated people in terms of fighters. Usually, are people who has had it tough. At least most of them that we've seen. There are obviously exceptions. So it's a very difficult thing, and I mean this has happened all the time. You see people talk about people all the time. Go to boxing now. This is not new. Where Frank Warren is hitting on Eddie, for instance, or Oscar De La Hoya is talking about Eddie Hearn and for Frank Warren. This is happening all the time in the fight game. It's not, or Dana White is talking about Francis the next day. You know, so there's nothing new there. But in terms of one not meeting up with their obligations to their sponsors, I mean, I guess that is their problem. Something that they have to maybe reevaluate their models, reevaluate the way they organize their programs, their fights, their events, and all this. I don't think it's for us really to speculate about until there's something concrete that comes out. Yeah, it's difficult to reach the levels of the UFC, man. It's a difficult. I mean, go and ask the PFL. Go and ask Bellator. It's difficult. We've seen this for years and years and years. The UFC have gotten to a height that, man, bro. Okay, let's bring it to football, for instance, right? Man United, they've not won the Premier League since 2012, I think, or 2013. But still, Man U are so big that due to the fact that despite the fact that Man City, for instance, have lost 4 games in a row, despite winning 4 Premier Leagues in a row, no one is really talking about Man City losing because no one cares about Man City. They are not on the level of Man U in terms of coverage, in terms of So if you can bring it the same thing here, it's difficult, and I don't know. Let one championship fix picks up some of their.
All right.
Yeah, I've been on a bit of a rant there.
Suggestion by the answer, Temba Gorimbo. The questions that people have been asking: why are we not wearing African clothes? You've heard it here, guys. You guys need to all wear Nigerian clothes for this show. Well, to be honest, I'm the only guy representing. You can see my hula up here. You could see the sweet jersey. By the way, Temba, the next time I see you, Temba,
Where's my Nigerian flag?
I'm going to get you one of these hats. The next time I
In
see
the
you,
next one, I will wear full Nigerian clothes. In our next,
my wife sells some African attires, but mostly for women. The only main thing she sells is these hats. So be sure, Temba. I think I might just even ship one to you. Don't worry, just send me your head size. Yes. All right. There's been one of the questions that Christopher Graham asked is one in trouble? As we said, it's likely is. Ladies and gentlemen, there's for our audio listeners, there's a Nigerian flag wrapped around the shoulders and the body of one Ademola Odewale.
This is the answer to the answer.
Temba, don't worry, I'll find your size.
Yeah, bro.
He says head size big. I don't know. Did you guys see that video that Temba posted with him and Sadibu C when they were training and two of them were arguing who is darker than who? Because like Sadibu C is like Senegalese black. You know how black Senegalese are. And Temba is
Zimbabwe black.
He's so dark skinned that he looks Senegalese. You can mistake him for a Senegalese. So that video was very funny. If you haven't seen it, probably go see. Temba is going to be ranked soon this year. Ha! I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember Temba's last fight. That was
Nico Price. Nico Price.
Yeah, Nico Price. Oh, certainly.
It's about time. It's about time.
Yeah. Speaking about before we get carried away here, speaking about the reader's comment, I don't know if you guys saw his performance against Gerald. He called out Hamza Chimaev. There's a suggestion here by Christopher Graham. Who would he fight next? You know what? Let's talk about that a little bit later. Okay. The main event last night, Carlos Prates. He defeated Neil Magny in rather a sad and a spectacular or a weird fashion, if depending on how you saw it, right? A lot of things happened in that fight that the camera did not catch until you see the replay. Then you would know how that knockout happened. Sad to see Neil Magny. Every time Neil Magny get finished, it's always sad to see because of how much of a legend he is in the UFC. 34 fights in the UFC. That's legendary status. Speaking about Neil Magny, Neil Magny was ranked 14 before that fight. So now Temba is saying he's going to be 14 soon. So was 15, was he? If Neil Magny gets out of that rankings, is Temba the guy that is going in? Obviously, the Prates would obviously take a number as well. Who would Temba replace? We'll have to look into that top 15 to see who is going out for Temba. But
interesting stuff. I actually wanted Temba to fight Neil Magny because
so like if you look at it, Dana White also said that Neil Magny is his tester, like his litmus test for this up and coming young fighter. He puts him in front of these guys.
Gatekeeper, Neil Magny and Geoff Neal. If you can beat those guys, then we know you're
this guy Vicente Luque too is starting to look like that. I don't know if he still has a number to his name. Oh yeah, Temba speaks about Luque. No, I will fight and take my ranking. Temba really likes this Vicente Luque fight. The welterweight division in the bottom of it is really exciting, but on the top of it is very slow. So there isn't too much excitement in there. We need someone to get in there. And speaking about the welterweights, we know that the title fight between Belal and Shafkat fell off. There's a lot of call out that Usman should step up to fight Shafkat. Shafkat wants an interim title. I don't know if the UFC want to do interims anymore. I feel this show today has been very unstructured. I want to touch on one more thing about Reug Reug before we go. Here's a question by Christopher Graham. He says, how likely is it that PFL and One Championship co-promote a Reug Reug versus Ngannou? All of the marbles, for all of the marbles at PFL Africa 1. Personally, I don't see Ngannou fighting in PFL Africa. I know it would make sense, but I don't really see, because Ngannou is a big money fighter now. So uh, PFL Africa is more like one of those events that the PFL one would be where Ngannou would be front and center as the promoter, not on the main
Yeah.
event. So I don't see that happening. If Ngannou fights Reug Reug, how can
There'll
I
be, there'll be a demolition.
how can I be very nice about this? Okay, I'm going to push this away from myself. I'm going to push it to Ebuka. Ebuka,
Yeah,
Ngannou versus
I
Reug
don't.
Reug, how would you see that?
No, I don't buy the fight at all.
If it
I mean, what's the
happens,
height?
if it happens, well,
Well,
how does
okay.
that?
Yeah, if it happens, what's the height difference between them again?
I think
But I mean,
Ngannou is
it would
Ngannou is
because
about
Rogue
six
Rogue
five,
is 6'5", yeah, and Rogue Rogue is
about
I
5'11",
don't know,
I guess.
but well, nah, it's not going to do well. I don't know if it is it a fight night, is it a super fight thing, is it gonna be on pay-per-view? I don't know where the fight sells unless they get someone to sponsor the fight. Nah, there's no need for that. I don't think I don't think this is the level Ngannou want to be fighting, and it's difficult, right? It's difficult to get fights for Ngannou, and we know that it's packed. But
I think
you
I
know,
think I think this is a very sellable fight. It will sell very well if there's a Ngannou versus Reug Reug. It will sell very well when people see, oh, this Senegalese wrestler. They show clips of him doing Senegalese wrestling, and then this linear heavyweight champion of the world, right? It would be one of those things about like immovable object hitting the what high speed train, whatever. It will be one of those things to sell. It will be very easy to sell. Here is another timber bomb. How do we call it? The Gorimbo bomb.
Rainbow bombs.
He says, Demba says, Nate Diaz won't fight. I beat Luke. I fight Kobe Covington in Miami, and I take the ring of Miami status. Um, you know what? The thing is, Demba, you've only been in Miami for 2 years. You want to be a king when you just got there.
Is
uh,
never in
but
Miami or Vegas. I think somewhere
he's
in
in
Vegas.
Miami. That's where Dwayne the Rock Johnson got him a house, isn't it?
Uh,
Yeah, but if Temba is going to be a king, I think it will likely be king of Apex.
King of
Yeah,
Never is
because
King of Apex already.
the Apex, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure. I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure if Temba walks in through the doors of that Apex, go to the gym, all the nutritionists, everybody there, they know him
everybody know him.
they're on first name basis in there, so it's relatively more like his home in there. Um,
Mm.
we've got Christopher Graham, the legend. He says, have you considered just recording audio and releasing the podcast? You need to do a live show. You can just post the
Don't
Zoom recording to YouTube later in the week. That's an interesting suggestion. Might save you cash you're spending on the live stream service you're using. That's a really good suggestion. I would really consider options about all this StreamYard thing going on. Thank you, Christopher Graham. Big shout out to you.
Come to the other side of the river. Riverside. I'm a Riverside ambassador now. Come try Riverside. It's dope, man. And it's cheap.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, who would you like now? Christoph, going back to Christopher Graham questions. We've got one about, would Jon Jones retiring without fighting Aspinall or Ngannou damage his legacy, or has he already done enough already? Before we get into that, one more bomb. Okay, by Gorimbo. Gorimbo says, okay then, Luque December. Well, what December? Next month?
Yeah, December, yeah. Yeah,
They haven't announced
because
anything.
he's meant to fight Nick Diaz in December.
Oh,
Okay.
cancelled.
Yes.
Has it been cancelled, right? Yeah.
No, it's not cancelled. UFC 310.
Oh, it's on. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Shafkat versus
So
Bilal,
so
right?
Temba wants to be like a replace. Do they do replacement fighters
Yeah.
for those fights for
Yeah.
non-title fights?
Yes.
Um,
Sure. Sure.
he says Kobe Miami in March and Kamaru in Africa in August. Belts December. This is what the thing is, yeah. There was an interview we did with Temba since when he was in EFC, and he literally predicted his pathway into the UFC, right? He spoke about going to fight in another promotion and then going to America and fighting in another promotion and getting into the UFC. The only bit that he fumbled was he mentioned Dana White Contender Series, and as you know, Temba didn't even have to go through there. He got signed directly. So I feel like this is one of those moments again where we would look back at this moment and be like, yeah, he said it and he did it. Big shout out to Temba, the answer Gorimbo. So yeah, let's go back to the Jon Jones thing. Would Jon Jones retiring without fighting Aspinall or Ngannou damage his legacy, or has he done enough already with the legacy per se? I'm gonna throw it to Ademola. I haven't called your number in a while. What do you think, Ademola?
What I would say is John Jones's legacy is untouchable, right? Even if he doesn't fight Stipe, next
Mm,
week, there's nothing you can do to that legacy. So people would always say, "Oh, this is the next person. This is the next person that can beat John Jones." John Jones has killed killers. He's a champion of champions. Do you know how many champions, former champions, future champions that John Jones has beaten? Right. So I think a lot of people, right, are operating under the recency bias. A lot of people are new to MMA, right? A lot of people are new fans of the sports. A lot of people are casuals, right? And
mm-hmm,
that is why I always pride myself in not being a casual because I
mm,
have been a student of the game since 2018, right?
Mhm.
And even when I came in 2018, I did my work. I did my homework to do the research into the history of the sport, right? People just come into a sport and just start watching from a particular date. They don't look into the history. And the thing is, the history of MMA is not, so long because the UFC started in 1993. So what I'll say is people should do their homework, right? Before just saying things on the internet. John Jones's resume, his place in the history of the sport is indelible, is impeccable, is untouchable. That is my submission.
Yeah.
You know what I put about above everybody when it comes to Jon Jones is the longevity or whichever way you want to call it. Like he has gone through different evolutions of the sport, right?
Different generations,
Yeah, so
bro.
like we saw when the sports was dominated by what grapplers to wrestlers to strikers and now back to grapplers. We've seen it all the styles that they thrown in his way. He found a way to beat them. He went from beating the old heads, then beating the averagely aged guys that are like in the prime of their careers, and then beating the young games, right? That's why he eventually left the light heavyweight division. And if you look at it, after he left the light heavyweight division, the title changed hands like 5 times.
Hmm.
Right? So, and then in those 5 times or 4 times, there were people that he beat that became champions. That's to
Hmm.
show
Like,
you that
like
there were,
Glover.
yeah, Glover Teixeira. That's to show you that if he was the reason why all these guys couldn't actually become champions.
Hmm.
And there's another thing with him. If he beats you, it's almost like he's showing everybody your weakness, right? Because like many people had their best performances against Jon Jones, and then since then it went down the rail. We'll see it with um,
Dominic Reyes.
Dominic
Yeah.
Reyes, that guy that
Good
has
talk.
a hammer tattoo. I forgot his name.
Thiago Santos.
Thiago
Margareta.
Santos. There's also
Even
this
Anthony
sweet,
Smith.
yeah, Anthony Lyon
Yeah.
Smith. There's also this Swedish guy that
Gustafsson
they
as
had
well.
like the best fight of all
Gustafsson.
Good
time,
talk.
Gustafsson.
Gustafsson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like all these guys, their top moments in their careers was when they lost to Jon Jones. So that's to tell you quite. And it's more like when you do the LeBron James versus anybody else comparison. I'm not a big LeBron guy. The one thing I give LeBron is the longevity. I hate when people talk about LeBron and Michael Jordan. However, LeBron has done it longer than Mike MJ did, but in the short time that MJ did it, LeBron couldn't do it as MJ did. So I feel like that's what Jon Jones is. He grew up in front of the eyes of the fans. The sports, the UFC, what it is today, compared to what it is when Jon Jones, he was there when they had sponsors on their shorts.
Mhm.
And he is there now when they are putting some funny gloves to fight. So I feel win or lose, I actually think win or win next month, actually next couple of weeks, right? Jon Jones versus Miocic
It's next week.
Next week, we're
next
we're
week.
doing the review on Thursday, guys.
All right, next
We're
week.
getting here as well. Yeah.
I feel if Jon Jones wins,
Preview.
even though there's a lot of talk about him ducking Tom Aspinall, I feel like he has done enough to duck Tom Aspinall. He doesn't have to take that risk. Although it will be one of those things that people will start thinking, what if Jon Jones fought Tom Aspinall? What if Jon Jones fought Francis Ngannou? That's how great you would be, that people would, no matter when you leave the sport, people would always make assumptions like, what if this guy did this? What if this guy fought this guy? So there's a lot of that. Temba says you have to see things through the end. I say I do. Mr. Talk and do. And he says, okay, enough with this. Liverpool is taking the league. We winning till till forever. Big shout out to Temba Gorimbo again. Temba was in the UK about 2 weeks ago. He reached out to me when he arrived. Like, dude, it's too late. It's too late. I'm a family man. But I would have really loved to hang out with Temba. Maybe if I had known on time. He had the chance to be Cody Gakpo's guest at the Anfield when they beat my own darling Chelsea. Cody Gakpo is a Liverpool striker, so he is friends with Temba. I don't know how that happened. So Temba was in Anfield and he saw us lose. So big shout out to the Liverpool guys. Incredible season they're having so far. Top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League table. By the way, Barcelona just lost now, so
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Temba is coming in December after. Wait, Temba, which fights that they have not announced? December is next month too. Okay.
Yeah. It's very funny.
Temba says he's fighting Vicente Luque. Okay. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. We'll
Well, I
see.
mean, if you're saying that Diaz is pulling out, then okay. I mean, it's possible we can give him that fight. Bro, no need to announce. You've already announced it, then well done. You see what we get there.
The mystic mamba. All right, guys. I think with regards to the topics, the point of discussion, that's everything I've got today. Big shout out to Christopher Graham again for giving us these questions. I know I put in our Patreon a bit late to ask for questions. Again, join our Patreon. You can suggest topics or things you want us to discuss. If you see that we are not nudging towards the right direction of the topics that you're interested in, yeah, join our Patreon. Give us suggestions of what you want us to talk about, and we will gladly do so. Anything you guys want to talk about? Well, if you want to get a preview of Jon Jones versus Miocic fight card that is coming on next week, we would be live on Thursday on Ibuka's podcast. That is Ibuka. What's your podcast name?
Start with the tycoon. Yeah, so we're gonna be coming on there with Kingdom's podcast in collaboration as well with the African fighters. So you guys should watch out for that one on Thursday evening, Thursday night. I mean, it's an interesting card, so yeah,
Temba
looking
said,
forward to that.
Temba, I'm looking at my DM, so I'm not seeing anything. Oh, wait. I'm not seeing anything, Temba. Oh.
Another Gorimbo bomb.
There was a big one. There was a big one, but I'm not telling you guys. There was a big Gorimbo bomb that just happened when we were on this show, and I am not telling you guys. Wait for it. Wait for it, and when it happens, I'll be like, I knew about it.
Not a problem, right? So me, I'm excited about UFC
Uh,
309. I'm really, really excited about UFC 309. Jon Jones versus Stipe. Everybody's sleeping on Stipe, but
mhm.
we'll see. But
Yeah.
two fights that actually interest me are the Oliveira versus Chandler 2 and Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. I don't know. I think Bo Nickel is overhyped, but I think it takes
Temba,
time to find out.
I have seen your DM, Temba. Guys.
I mean, before we go, yeah, Devil, I agree with you on those points, but I don't know, Bonico. Yeah, let's see. I mean, he's stepping up now, right? He's stepping up on the opponent. So let's see what happens. But
Holy
because a lot
shit.
of people are already
Holy
projecting
shit.
that he's the
Holy
only
shit.
chance of someone beating Chimaev. So
I need to have this
um,
audio in the
your
background
informant now. You need to play
whenever
me.
Temba gives us a bomb
Let's
that I
see.
cannot talk
Let's
about.
see.
We put the audio goes, holy shit, holy shit. Because the thing that Temba sent me, I can only say two words. Holy shit. Uh, Temba says I'm your informant now. You need to pay me. All right, guys. That's it from us, the African fighters. Thank you to the Wazobia gang. Ebuka, really, really appreciate your time here. Kingdoms of Ademola Adewade, the Kingdoms podcast.
Thank
Kingdoms
you, guys.
podcast is doing crazy numbers right now. Big shout out to
Whoa.
the Kingdoms. He's putting the work. Really, 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 really
We're,
fantastic
we're
stuff, my brother.
cooking. We're cooking.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the guys that tuned in to join us. Oh, before we go, there was actually something that Christopher Graham had here. It's one of his interests, and I know this is something that Ebuka would like to talk about.
Whoa.
Ebuka is
Yeah,
a
yeah,
political man. So
yeah, this is my area.
for audio listeners, Christopher Graham says a political question. Any thoughts on the
Wow.
Nigerian-born and ethically Yoruba Kemi
Ethically Yoruba.
Badenoch
Hey,
being
AJ,
elected
come and see
as
this question.
leader of the UK's Conservative Party,
So,
positioning herself as a future
I
British Prime Minister?
I have somebody to answer this question on my behalf.
I mean,
AJ, come.
um,
This is
le-
her
I
nephew. This
mean,
is her nephew here.
Mm.
my, okay. If AJ finishes, then I'll give my thought. You,
AJ, thoughts about Kemi Badenoch being elected as the leader of the UK
I'm not. Are you
Conservative
sure? Are
Party?
you sure AJ is a political person? I'm not sure he is.
I am a position.
Hey,
I've been rooting
I,
for her since 2022 when she was the third in the contestants of being the Prime Minister of the UK. Yeah, since then I've been rooting for her. She was a backbencher. No one knows about her. No one really cares about her. She's just in the back. So Michael Gove pushed her to the front. And then, yeah, she went in. No one thought she was a wildcat. And before you knew it, she was one of the third contestants. That's when people had confidence in her in the Tory party. So in 2024, when she came in, it wasn't shocking at all. But I know she's going to make it. It's a proud thing to say that she's black and she's a Tory leader.
There's a bot there. What's the bot?
What do you mean, but?
You said it's a proud thing that she's black and all of that, but you were going to say but. Go on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
people do criticize her for being whitewashed, but I don't think she's whitewashed. She's just saying the facts, the reality of things as it is. People don't like it in the UK for you to be, brazen and saying your mind. Things likes to be sugarcoats and then, say it in a different way.
It's
But
a typical British thing. They smile to your face all the time, even though the intentions in their heart is not.
is very different. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what that's the but. Being a Tory leader, okay. The thing is, the difference between her and Rishi Sunak was she was elected by the Tory party itself, and by the people, by the mandate of the Tory members and everything. That's the difference between her and Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak was just because there's no alternatives. That's why he was taken, and he was not an elected prime minister. If she does go into the general election, she's likely to be the first elected British prime minister, which is very different. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Person of color, a black person becoming, the prime minister of the UK.
Oh, that's gonna be a wild one. Because as a running for the Conservative Party as a black person, not being nominated essentially after the election has been won, is going to be like It's going to be a huge one, wouldn't it? Would you not agree?
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Looking at the Prime Minister questions, if you have seen the Prime Minister's questions she did, she scored 2 points higher than her contestant, the Labour
Hmm.
Party, Esther Kaima. She scraped him basically. Like she finished him. She floored him in Prime Minister's questions.
Ebuka,
High points
Ebuka, what are your thoughts, Ebuka?
Yeah, and also, we need to be conscious of, as well of, the race situation here, and not only on the top. And I think that's what Kemi stands for. Kemi says it all the time. I think she is common sense personified. Christopher
Exactly.
Graham, to answer the question, I think she's
Mhm.
common sense personified. She's someone that
Exactly.
says it as it is. I think she's a
Exactly.
real conservative person. She's a real right wing person. And yeah, I think that's what we should judge her for. I've seen people trying to compare her with Margaret Thatcher and all these sort of
Mm,
things. No, all those things are not necessary. Kemi Badenoch is Kemi Badenoch. And I think at the end, I think the Tories have made the right decision. I think she should
exactly.
have been the one to win initially, when they
Exactly.
chose this trust from nowhere.
Exactly.
I think she
Mm.
should have been
Exactly.
I'm a
the
Exactly.
bit
one, or
conscious.
if,
I'm a bit
so
conscious of the time. I just got one follow-up
mm,
question. What
yeah.
impact? I think I would rather have Doctor answer this question, right? Because Doctor has been in the UK longer than all three of us combined, right? So, what impact do you think this would give, or this would make in the not just the Nigerian community, but the Black African community in the UK?
Right. So to put it this way, I think the image of Nigerians is beginning to change. Even in the hospital as well. People are beginning to, oh, they're hardworking people. They're this, they're this. People are beginning to
Mm-hmm.
notice these things. Before you are invisible,
Mm-hmm.
even though you're Nigerian, you're invisible. But coming to the forefront, nationally and showing this, I mean, it's a big thing. Being a Tory party leader is a very big thing. So
And
she's
and
showcasing.
there was something I did notice. Sorry to cut you off, Doctor.
Yeah.
When I got into this country, I did not know that there was a distinction between being a Black African from Africa, being a Black African living in the UK, being a Black Caribbean from Caribbean country, and then being a Black Caribbean living here. So she being in this position, do you think it's also impactful for the Caribbeans as well?
It is impactful because they said black
Mm.
there. So
Mhm,
she's just black. They didn't say black African, black this, black that. She's just representing black. She's the face of blackness in the UK. So yeah, she is representing the entire black community.
Yo,
But
guys,
then,
our viewers are dropping off. I feel like we're entering a topic they don't want to hear. But yeah, finish your thoughts and we round up this show.
all right, okay, we're just saying our mind. We're just being the mini Kemi Badenoch here, so
Yeah,
why not?
yeah,
We'll be in the mini Kemi Badenoch. Okay, so she's
yeah,
representing the entire black community. I think it's a
yeah.
good thing, but she should be, and then she's given a true representation in a way that she's raised an intellectual, very
Mhm,
straightforward
mhm.
and very you know, co- like what Ebuka says, she gives a lot of common sense in whatever she says. I think is a good thing. And
Yeah,
relatively compared to her predecessors, she's
mhm,
more of a, you know,
mhm.
she's
I'm
she's a
gonna I'm
very
I'm gonna round up with this, right? There's a lot of factors when it comes to positivity with regards to Kemi and where she is
yeah.
at the moment. But what I see that is most impactful, in my opinion, I don't have a daughter. I have two sons. But if I had a daughter, I would like for her as a Black Nigerian girl or Black African girl to see where Kemi is at. That's that's not only inspirational, that's very impactful in the lives of young girls, seeing this person in
It,
a place of
it is,
position
it is,
when
it
it
is.
comes to our agendas and
Yeah, that's true.
all the discourse about gender equality back home. I feel
Mm,
this is
sure,
groundbreaking
exactly,
stuff.
exactly.
So
It's groundbreaking. It's
yeah.
extremely
all,
groundbreaking.
all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us again. This is the third time I'm doing an outro. Today we had an impromptu guest in the person of Doctor. Introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Abdul Jabbar. Dr. Abdul Jabbar.
Dr. Abu Jabbar in London, England. Him and Demola are in his house, in Demola's house, cooking some jollof. Big shout out to you guys. Ebuka, Thank you again. It's like Ibuka has frozen. And ladies and gentlemen, the African fighters, we are going to be signing out in 3, 2, and 1.